Russia is a nation reborn. Communist rule is becoming a distant memory to many. Most Russians now enjoy freedoms they could never have imagined 20 years ago. For some, there is untold wealth fed by the export of oil and gas. For many, this is a brave new world. Over 140 million citizens are coming in from the cold. The Russians, a people who believe their time has come. This is their country, through their eyes. It's nearly twice the size of the United States and spans 11 time zones. The Russian Federation is by far the biggest country in the world. Born from the ruins of the old Soviet Union, it is also one of the newest nations on Earth. And everywhere, people are reaching out to make a new start. In the province of Tartaristão, the young circus acrobat, Alena Averina, pursues her dream of stardom. In the heartlands of Siberia, Misha Moldanov feels the pull of the wilderness and the life of the nomad. On the River Don, Padre Gennady and his floating church bring hope to the dispossessed. In the capital, Moscow, Nina Koveshnikova rides the wave of new wealth and fresh talent that has swept through the city. In the Caucasus Mountains, Magomedkhan follows his heart, reviving an ancient art all but lost under communism. And far to the east near the Pacific Ocean, Sasha Ovsyannikov braves the volcanoes of Kamchatka to help make the world a safer place. Each of these people has their own Russia. These are their stories. Siberia. 5 million square miles of ice and snow. 3/4 of Russia's landmass containing 1/5 of her people. At its heart, the region long known as the Yugra, with temperatures way below freezing for up to 7 months a year. Yet some live here all year round, just as their ancestors have done for centuries. Alexei and Evdokия Moldanov are among the 28,000 surviving members of the Khanty tribe. During the coldest months of the year, they corral their 200 reindeer deep in the shelter of the forest. In the summer, their herd wanders, and the Moldanovs wander with them.
The reindeer roam far and wide searching for food. They cross rivers looking for pastures, They use the scent on the wind to find where the grass is good.
Their camp is their winter home. They have no phone, electricity supply, or gas. But they're free to follow their reindeer.
If your health is good, then it's easy living here. And it's a great joy to be out here with reindeer. They're just like human beings. Sometimes I sing to them. If you call one and sing him a song, he'll listen to you happily and run to you.
In times gone by, their children and grandchildren would have been with them. But all the Moldanov's young ones are grown up and have gone to live in the towns.
It's easier when your children are there to help.
I went to see if it's warmer. The grass is under snow and more snow has fallen.
I just hope there won't be too much ice on top.
All responsibility for the herd rests with them, and they are growing old.
I have been herding reindeer since I was very young. So this is almost my 60th year. So much time has gone by. 57 years.
Their son, Misha, raises his family 200 miles away in the small settlement of Lyamina. One shop, one road. In provincial Russia, the prosperous few have cars, TV, phones, and increasingly the internet. But for most, life remains simple.
Hello, how can I help you? Do you want some ice cream?
No, thanks. Tea.
At the local school, Misha's job is to pass on the ancient skills and traditions he learned from his father, like pitching the nomad's tent, the chum.
This chum is made from tent material. A real one would be made from reindeer hide. You need about 60 hides to make a good chum. Try and keep it straight. Did you see where it fell?
But Misha's heart lies in the wilderness where his parents brought him up. The communists sent him away at the age of 7 for a state-run education, part of their attempt to wipe out Khanty culture. Since then, Misha, now 33, has spent much of his life in towns. But with spring coming, the reindeer must move, and his parents need his help.
It worries me that they're old. Sometimes it's hard for my father to take the reindeer out and herd them. But I feel torn to bits, because I need to work here to feed my children.
Misha and his 6-year-old son, Daniel, prepare for the long trip to the forest. For Daniel, it'll be a chance to learn how his ancestors always lived. For Misha, a chance to teach his son a way of life he can always carry with him in his heart. As memories of communism fade, Russia's greatest cities are coming back to life, fueled by the new prosperity and freedom. St. Petersburg, Russia's cultural capital, was built 3 centuries ago as a window onto Europe. Now it's becoming a window onto the world. Less than 100 years ago, most Russians lived in rural villages. Today, 3/4 of them live in cities. The people of this city of canals and bridges are proud of their rich cultural heritage. And the so-called Venice of the North is opening up as never before, visitors are drawn here from all over the world. Restorers are returning St. Petersburg to its former splendor. Gennady Vionov is rediscovering the secrets of the master craftsmen of the past.
In restoration, the craftsman must forget himself, must transform himself and become the person who first created this object long ago.
By far the biggest European city north of Moscow, here twilight lasts all night in summer, a spectacle known as the White Nights. In the Soviet era, Russians talked to Westerners at their peril. Now, they are free to mingle with tourists. Live performance is in the Russian blood. From street performers to opera, theater, and the circus. The young can dream dreams again, and throughout Russia, many want to become stars of the big top. In the proud provincial city of Kazan, 17-year-old Alena Averina is dreaming of circus stardom. After 7 years of training, she's on the verge of her moment of destiny, the performance that will make or break her as an aerial acrobat.
Это очень происходит на высокой высоте.
This act happens very high up, the height of a 4-story building. It's very scary. You can fly off the ring any moment, and it would be very dangerous and life-threatening.
Повредить свое здоровье.
First of all, you must control your feelings and learn to overcome your fear.
Есть.
Alena trains at Kazan Circus School. She started there a shy and awkward 10-year-old. But Ilda Ugumnov, the school's artistic director, believes she could make it.
The main thing is you've got to be crazy about the circus. It's absolutely vital. You've got to be a circus fanatic.
In 4 weeks' time at the school's gala, Alena must give a performance that will determine the rest of her life. At stake, the circus artist's diploma that would make her a fully qualified acrobat and set her on the road to stardom.
Конечно, это очень тяжело.
Of course, this is going to be very difficult, as it is going to be in front of a huge audience. Different circus directors from many cities come to see us, and at any moment they can choose an act for their show. That's why it's such a big responsibility. You have to be focused. You have to make it look good.
The pressure is on young Alena. She'll soon know if she's won the prize she set her heart on for so long. "500 miles to the west, in Moscow, Russia's capital, there are other athletic traditions. Temperatures stay below freezing point for months on end. And hardy citizens make the most of it. Even in central Moscow, they ski and fish. And there are other more eccentric winter sports. The president of the Silver Forest Swimming Club, Sergei Maximov, is 71. He's been swimming here for over 25 winters.
When you first dive into this cold water, your body freezes, and then it gets very hot. You get to feel very happy. You just want to be kind, to do good for others, and bring happiness into their lives.
In central and northern Russia, there are tens of thousands of these winter swimmers. They call themselves mortsi or walruses. Sergei believes a strict regime of diet, exercise, swimming, stretching, and massage keeps walruses in vital health.
If you follow these 5 factors, you too can have a body and figure like mine. As you can see, it's as if the aging process has been suspended.
Russians have been swimming in ice holes for thousands of years, but it's said to be dangerous to push yourself too far.
We all walk on a knife edge. Some should swim right across the ice hole. Some should just do a little bit and get out. Each has his own limit, but for everyone, cold water is a medicine.
Far to the east of Moscow, and over 200 miles from their hometown of Lyamina, Misha Moldanov has brought his son Daniel to a Khanty festival deep in the Siberian tundra. Misha will meet some old friends and some old rivals. First, reindeer racing, a single circuit of the course with competitors standing on their sledges. Misha's an expert in athletics, Khanty style, a tough endurance sport for a tough people. More racing. Seated, everyone goes full speed. First prize in athletics, Misha Moldanov. The festival is over. It's time to travel on to join Daniil's grandparents. In the wilderness of western Siberia, 3 generations of the Moldanov family are reunited. Misha finds the camp in urgent need of repair. The reindeer keep escaping, and Alexei can't round them up on his own. With his expert eye, Alexei has spotted a sick reindeer which must be slaughtered to prevent a slow and painful death. Misha will help his father capture it.
If a reindeer gets sick, a good herdsman like my father knows straight away what is bothering the reindeer, whether it is the liver, kidneys, lungs, or something else. Our vets are amazed at how well my father can do this.
It's a quick, compassionate call, part of the cycle of life here. Reindeer meat is their staple food. The fur is used for clothes and tents. Hide for gloves and footwear that can last decades.
Of course I love it here. There is nowhere else like this. When I walk around the wilderness, I remember where I spent my childhood. Nature gives me energy. It comes from the forest.
There's much for Donald to learn, from traditional foods to ancient rituals. Tonight, his father and grandfather will teach him a sacred Khanty dance.
There are special rites and ceremonies we follow here. All this educates him. We worship forest spirits as our protectors, and this teaches him our way of life.
Tomorrow, they must leave. It'll be painful for everyone.
How could we not miss Misha? I wish I could sometimes see him in my dreams. That would be good. Of course we miss him.
Misha too has a dream that one day he will leave town life forever and return to live here as a nomad.
Like my father now. In 30 years' time, I'll be living here in the forest, and Daniil will visit me. Then he can decide for himself whether to live out here or somewhere else.
It's time to head home to Liamina. The nomad's future is uncertain, but Misha has opened Donald's eyes to a way of life that will stay with him as Russia changes quickly around them.
We live off the same energy that sustains the earth. He will grow up to be a good person. The more time he spends here, the more he will be fired by that energy.
But Siberia's landscape is being transformed by oil and gas. Western Siberia, often called the Russian core, is home to some of the biggest gas and oil fields in the world. New technology is helping to boost oil production. And the exploitation of natural resources is rapidly making Russia rich and powerful. Exporting $150 billion worth of oil and gas each year, Russia now rivals Saudi Arabia for the title, the world's biggest oil producer. And as Russia becomes an economic superpower, the lives of its people are being transformed. Nowhere is change happening faster than the capital, Moscow. It's now one of the wealthiest cities on Earth, with over 100,000 millionaires. This is the epicenter of Russia's capitalist revolution. The fall of communism in 1991 made it a city of opportunity and hidden menace, with the Russian mafia a force to be reckoned with. But with fortunes to be made, Russians from all over the country are moving here, swelling Moscow's population to over 10 million. Nina Koveshnikova is one of many young Russians who leaped at the chance to change their life. She quit her small provincial town 200 miles from Moscow to carve a glittering career in the new Russia.
When I came here to live in 1993, I thought that it was a very dynamic place. And year by year, I saw the changes of Moscow. And this is amazing. It's so fast.
Dina has changed fast too. 20 years ago, like many Russian girls, she was a pioneer in the Komsomol, the Soviet youth organization. Now she's a highly paid executive for Burda Publishing House.
We have about 1,000 people working in the company and publish 36 magazines in total. And I'm responsible for 6 magazines, which are our glossy section of the company.
The magazine market reflects the new Moscow. Shortages are a thing of the past. The city's awash with luxury goods. A cup of coffee in the center costs $6. With productivity increasing at around 7% a year, the average wage is rising at over 10%, so plenty of people have plenty to spend.
For 70 years, we were without luxury, so we had the thirst for luxury. And when we got it, we got just crazy. People were buying diamonds and the most expensive graph diamonds, going to London and just spending money. And step by step, as of 1995, all the fashion brands and jewelry brands started coming to Russia.
The city, once notorious for communist austerity, now boasts the world's most exclusive designer labels. Dina loves the new Moscow, but now she faces the toughest assignment of her meteoric career. To oversee Burda's launch of a magazine aimed at the top end of the market, Madame Figaro, a definitive guide to luxury for Moscow's richest young women.
Madame Figaro is the magazine which is targeting high-income women from 28 to 35, young, dynamic, because we know that Russia belongs to the young.
We've mixed up the styles.
I don't know about this yellow and black. What do you think?
You don't like the yellow?
Oh, I don't know. It's a bit aggressive.
After 10 years of rapid expansion, there's fierce competition in Russia's magazine market. Madame Figaro will be up against established global brands like Harper's Bazaar, Elle, and Vogue.
We're still working on the USP for this magazine, unique sales proposal. It needs to be very clear what message we are going to bring with Madame Figaro.
After fashion, Dina's second love is food. Her favorite haunt, the Dorogomilovsky market. A far cry from the bare shelves and food lines of the past, it's a haven of gastronomic delights, many imported from countries Russia ruled over in the days of the Soviet Union. Like many of the new rich, Dina's traveled widely and knows her international cuisine.
I like cooking. I like to go to the cooking courses. For example, when we travel in Thailand, I attend cooking trainings and I enjoy cooking Thai food and as well as Italian.
Near her home is a deluxe bakery boasting a huge range of exotic breads and pastries. Home's an exclusive apartment in central Moscow, where real estate fetches prices on a par with Manhattan and more than Paris or Tokyo.
I live in a beautiful place which is next to Patriarchy Ponds. It's famous for every Russian. It's a beautiful atmosphere here because when I stand on my balcony and see the pond, it's so great. I think it's a great luxury to find a place here, to get up every morning and think, oh my God, I'm happy. I have no right to feel unhappy. I live in such a place.
Today, Dina will run a key shoot for Madame Figaro.
We have a very fun team. We're going to shoot a very beautiful model, and the style will be on the grunge side.
Grunge it is. There's so much wealth in modern Moscow. The rich even spend money on looking poor. Every step of the way, Dina's in control. Now for Madame Figaro's finishing touches. Dina unwinds at the Sandony Banya, an exclusive steam bath and health center frequented by the new elite.
I really enjoy going to Banya. We have a beautiful Sandony Banya, very historical place with my friends. And we really enjoy being there because it's very relaxing. It's nice, we drink tea, we talk, we chat, we go to the Banya itself.
Russians have enjoyed banyas for thousands of years. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus described them around 450 BC. In today's Russia, they are widely believed to improve circulation and eliminate toxins, an ideal prelude to some quality pampering. But it comes at a price. A massage here costs nearly half a monthly state pension. Four months later, the first issue hits the street. Initial response is good. Madame Figaro is a hit. It's party time, and Russians love to party with plenty of their favorite drink, vodka. The word's derived from the word for water. And the ultimate luxury, caviar.
Today is a great day because we're here together, Madame Figaro team, celebrating Madame Figaro first issue. It is in the market and going really well, and we're very excited. I would like to propose a toast for Madame Figaro, our beautiful magazine.
The contrast between the old Russia and the new is at its most dramatic in northern Siberia, the land of permafrost. The Soviets sent political prisoners there to labor camps, the notorious Gulag. Over 18 million people were imprisoned in them. Some 3 million died. This is Perm 36, a camp at the gateway to Siberia. Imprisoned here in 1985 for criticizing communist rule, writer Lev Timofeyev is one of the Gulag's heroic survivors.
In Soviet times, I was sentenced for 6 years for my books. It was books about Soviet reality.
Arrested for slandering the Soviet people, Lev was one of Communist Russia's last political prisoners.
When you are in such punishment cell, it is very difficult to be here physically. And while being here, once I wrote verses which were like a prayer. And I had no paper to write, I had no pen to write. I scratched them on this table with my spoon.
At the height of Stalin's reign of terror, 10,000 gulags held over 2 million prisoners. It was state-run slave labor on an unprecedented scale. Russians lived in terror of the gulag and simply referred to it as the zone. Life at Perm 36 was a round of back-breaking work on a starvation diet, with prisoners scavenging whatever they could to eat.
These ruins, it was a forge shop, and behind it, it was the best nettles, which we picked up and scalded with boiling water and ate it. We had a great lack of vitamins.
Although he was held here for nearly 2 years, Lev feels no anger towards the guards.
How could I just quarrel with them? My enemies was Lenin, Marx, the ideology, the political situation in the country. That was what I objected, what I fought against.
Russia still has far to go on the road towards full democracy, but Lev has high hopes for the future.
We now live in other situation. We have a lot of problems. We have serious, dangerous problems. But I hope that those times had passed forever.
Russians loved the circus long before Soviet times, and they still do. It enjoys the same status as opera or theater. The clowns and acrobats of the Moscow State Circus are national celebrities. All over Russia, the young dream of joining them. Tartaristão is one of 21 republics in the new Federation of Russia. The capital, Kazan, has 1 million citizens. It's the site of Russia's biggest mosque and of an extraordinary circus school that trains children as young as 5 for the big top. The young acrobat Alena Averina is in intensive training for the biggest night of her life, the school's gala, when she will perform her 2 daredevil acts. In Koltso, the ring, she must glide through the air, unaided, far above her fellow performers.
You have to show your elasticity, flexibility, and to move in time with the music beautifully.
The bambuk is a team act that demands split-second timing and nerves of steel.
I work with a partner. He hangs in one loop, head down, and holds me. We do aerial releases, which are very dangerous, as I can miss the catch and fly off at any moment.
Alena studies at Kazan No. 1 Senior High School. Literacy and numeracy levels in Russia are over 99%. School is compulsory until the age of 15. Like many of her contemporaries, Alena is doing 2 extra years working hard for her final exams this summer. But once the high school day is over, the circus school takes priority.
We have classes for about 4 hours in circus school. Then I stay longer and work on tricky bits of my act. Finally, I go home, do my schoolwork, and go to sleep. Then it starts over again the next day.
Alena juggles to improve coordination and spatial awareness. Her progress tracked by her trainer, Ilda Igunov.
Circus is 95% about hard work and only 5% about talent. Alena has this 95%. She has achieved all this with her perseverance.
Она добилась своим трудом.
To perfect grace of movement, Alena also fits in ballet. 24/7, she is focused on gala night and the route to stardom. In summer, southern Siberia is transformed. This is one of Russia's most productive regions, with crops of wheat, oats, rye, barley, and sunflowers. Nearly 10% of Russia's land is used for agriculture, now starting to prosper again as the country becomes a market economy. And near the Mongolian border, Lake Baikal, a place of worship since the dawn of civilization, and now, with freedom to travel, Russians can explore it. By far the oldest lake on Earth, it's 400 miles long, over a mile deep, and contains 1/5 of the world's fresh water. The region around it is home to 1,200 plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. The Buryat tribes people who live here still call Lake Baikal the Sacred Sea. To them, this is the holiest place on Earth. Valentin Kagdeev is a shaman or holy man. For thousands of years, the region's inhabitants have believed the world is peopled by gods and spirits. Endowed with magical powers, the shaman protects the humans in his care by interceding with the spirits. Valentin travels hundreds of miles to visit far-flung Buryat communities to advise them and meet their spiritual needs.
I became a shaman when I was 30. All the elders gathered together and placed the tools of a shaman in my hands. Quietly, slowly, the wisdom of the people built up inside me. The old men and women would explain things to me.
Now, in this time of rapid change, the shaman's task has changed too.
The shaman must now be a keeper of the ancestral legends, traditions, customs, and rituals of all the people. This is the main duty now. It's not about miracles. It is this simple duty which is important, that's all.
But the lake itself is threatened by tourism. The Trans-Siberian Railway passes by on its journey of over 6,000 miles from St. Petersburg to the Pacific, and the tourists leave their imprint.
Some come here for a day trip and go back. Then others arrive and pitch their tents here.
They throw litter everywhere.
Yes, they do, you know. And it has to be cleared up.
To some visitors, nothing is sacred, not even holy sites on Lake Baikal. Valentin's ancestors have venerated ancient rock drawings here for millennia, but there's been an unwelcome intruder.
A piece of this was taken by a rich new Russian who took it home with him and made a fireplace where he warms his feet. Let that be on his conscience. He committed a terrible act of vandalism on one of our sacred sites.
Valentin performs an ancient ritual invoking the spirits to protect the lake. His faith as old as civilization, but with an urgent message for the modern nation and the world. Today's Russia is a place of many faiths. Christianity has been the main religion for over 1,000 years. The Russian Orthodox Church enjoyed great power and wealth in the empire of the Tsars. But the communists harassed believers, executed priests, and destroyed its places of worship. Before the 1917 revolution, there were over 55,000 churches. By 1940, fewer than 500. But now, Russians are once more free to worship. And those who resisted communist oppression are honored in life and in death. Like Elsvieta Selafanova, who risked imprisonment to help fund a Moscow church in secret. Where churches survive, congregations are growing, and the young are among them. Every spring, a unique man sets out from Volgograd with his family on a mission to bring the church to people whose own churches have been destroyed. Every summer for the past 10 years, he's made a 250-mile journey along one of Russia's mightiest rivers, the River Don. The floating church of Father Gennady Kanikin brings a message of hope to the Cossacks of the Don River, once a proud warrior race, now dispossessed.
We visit farms and villages that don't have churches. Our mission is to help people remember that they do not simply die after their life in this world. They must face the eternal life that lies ahead of them.
Gennady's wife Maria comes too, with their two sons, Pietro and Nikolai.
On the second day of our acquaintance, he told me, "Marry me, I will come to ask permission for your hand." And I said, "Yes, come and I will wait for you." And 1 month later we got married, and I do not regret that I have such a wonderful husband.
The church docks near the village of Lotsky, one of 20 remote communities they'll visit. Like much of rural Russia, so far it is untouched by the nation's new wealth. The nearest church is 30 miles away, and many villages have no transport.
People are poor in the countryside. All the wealth is in the cities. They survive out here by growing food in their private plots and fishing.
The onboard shop helps fund the mission. The workers from the railway will spread the word there's a mass tomorrow. Father Gennady makes a pilgrimage to a place with a tragic story. The ruined church of St. Nikolai, the miracle worker, the Cossacks' patron saint.
The Don region was the territory of the Cossacks, who were considered anti-revolutionary. So the communists did all they could to eliminate them and destroy their places of worship.
This part of Russia saw mass murder. Between the Russian Revolution and World War II, hundreds of thousands of Cossacks were shot, starved to death, or sent to the Gulag. Lands were seized, churches destroyed. The heart was torn out of Cossack culture. But Father Gennady hopes that one day this church will be restored to its former glory. For Father Gennady and Maria, the simple life is a reminder that wealth isn't everything.
Serving on the floating church means we are cut off from civilization. It reminds us how our ancestors used to live, without light, electricity, or any amenities.
Next morning, the congregation arrives. The Russian Orthodox Church sees itself as the true successor to the early Christian Church. One of the big differences from Roman Catholicism, the worship of icons, believed to be a direct route to the saints they portray.
Your most pure body, your most glorious blood, I pray for you. Have mercy on me, forgive my sins.
This family's waited for Father Gennady all winter. In the past 5 years, he has baptized 2,000 people in the floating church. Some 20,000 people have worshipped on board in the last 10 years. The Kanikin's work is so successful, other regions in Russia are planning their own floating churches to help heal a wounded nation. And the Kanikin's mission continues.
It is important we are vigilant now. We must never rest. We must all be responsible for the destiny of our country and everyone in it.
At Russia's #1 circus school in Kazan, a visiting professional troupe stages a spectacular. It's intended to inspire the students for next week's gala, the culmination of all their training under circus school director Ildar Ugumnov.
Naturally, all kids want to become circus artists and stars. That's why they will do their best for the performance. They want to be noticed. They dream that one day they will become stars not only of Russian but world circus.
Among the hopefuls is 17-year-old Alena Averina. It's her golden chance to prove she's a star of the future. Alena lives in Kazan with her mother. Since the death of her father, when Alena was only 2, there's been little money. But Gulia, a teacher and choreographer, has backed her from the start.
I hope she fulfills her dream of becoming an aerial artist. But I would like her to take it slowly and steadily, not rushing towards her goals. Otherwise, she might not achieve them.
But now there can be no let-up, and they still have to prepare costumes for the dress rehearsal.
We get obsessed with it. It's like a disease for us. We can't go a day without going to the shops to look at designs. And I start to argue with her. She has ideas of her own.
They agree just in time, and back home, Gulia does the fitting.
Let's have a look. Hold it up against you.
1 week before the gala itself, it's dress rehearsal night. The new costumes, one for the ring act, one for the bambuk, are perfect. But both acts are dangerous. The safety harness will stop Alena from crashing to the ground. However, if she flies off at speed, there is no guarantee the harness will prevent a career-threatening injury. And tonight the risk is heightened. Constant practice has tired her out.
Every act involves a lot of hard work, so you need to practice it over and over.
She mistimed several moves. 50 feet up, Alena is only saved by the harness. She holds her nerve, but she will need to improve to make the grade on gala night. Daguestan, another of Russia's 21 federal republics. According to legend, when God created Earth, his sack scraped against the Caucasus Mountains as he flew over, and a host of languages spilled out. Scattered in remote mountain settlements, the Dagestanis speak over 30 different tongues. Most are poor, but they are rich in ancient traditions, now reviving in the post-communist era. After many months away in Dagestan's capital, Magomedkhan is welcomed back to his ancestral village of Archib.
Probably my family and neighbors felt I hadn't come back to my own village for a long time. It is as if they wanted to tell me that I should come back more often. That's why they put on this greeting.
About 12% of Russians still live below the poverty line, though the number is falling year after year. Khan has a driving passion that will help restore some pride and prosperity to Archib, to bring back to life one of Dagestan's most stunning art forms, carpets. Their designs a mass of ancient mystic symbols. Their colors derived from local plants, woven in wool. The sheep of Archib graze at 7,000 feet. For centuries, they have produced top-quality wool for Dagestan's carpets.
It's shiny and has all the necessary qualities. It absorbs color dye very well. That's why they have wool and I make carpets. The wool's really excellent.
Khan's roots are here. One of the shepherds is his brother-in-law.
How greasy is it?
Not bad. This year they have been well fed. They're good and fat. Tell me how much you'll pay. Find a price so I won't lose out. And you will also be happy.
Khan agrees to a deal of 25 rubles or $1 per kilo and takes 100 kilos.
So we're both
agreed.
Now neither of us will break our word.
In summer, these mountains produce something else Khan needs for his carpets. A very special plant that only grows at over 5,000 feet. Dagestan's golden rhododendron.
We use it for getting a golden color, and then we use it to get green. And also, it's the best yellow dye I know. So I'm very happy, although the weather is not very good.
Largely ignored in the time of communist industrialization, Dagestan became one of the poorest regions in Russia. Khan's family has seen it all. They've lived in Archib since the 16th century.
This is my father's house. My grandfathers, my grandmothers, all my ancestors lived here. This is my motherland.
Over 90% of Dagestan's people follow Islam, Russia's second religion. Many of Khan's forefathers were Sufis, Islamic mystics. The carpets are part of this Sufi tradition in which the arts are a path to union with God. Before returning to his workshops, Khan celebrates the deal with his brother-in-law. But the shepherd's cousin has recently died, and ancient customs mean he must not shave for a month. No display of joy is allowed. As the feast ends, Khan says a prayer for the dead man. To the Sufis, all life is sacred. Khan returns to his workshops in Dagestan's capital, Makhachkala, where he's inspired a renaissance in this ancient mystical art and helped to sustain another community.
It was necessary to go back to what was happening 150 years ago, to the real tradition. It was necessary to raise it to a level whereby it became an art form, to breathe new life into it. That's why I got involved with this.
The communists forced the weavers to work in factories and use synthetic dyes. Moscow even decreed the designs. By the time communism fell, the ancient know-how was vanishing fast. But many longed to bring it back and turned to Khan, a distinguished ethnographer who knows Dagestan like the back of his hand.
In the end, everybody was saying to me that I was the one who had to do something. You'd have to wait forever for the government to act.
Starting 10 years ago, he built up a team of craftspeople. Each stage of the process has been reinvented, beginning with the design.
Is this your work? Beautiful.
Most Muslim women in Dagestan don't wear the veil and enjoy considerable freedom. Khan encourages his designers to innovate.
Diana, you know the colors. If you find something that you like, feel free. And if you find there's something that you can do better, just go ahead.
Most of the dyes are organic, from plants growing wild and picked locally, like madder root.
Okay, let's have a look. Very good. It's a beautiful color, very intense.
In the dye shop, the water temperature is carefully controlled. Minute variations transform the color. For subtler hues, the dye master adds carefully calibrated amounts of walnut skin or dried pomegranate. The only dyes not from Dagestan, the indigo blues, reveal their true color within minutes of exposure to the air. The dyed wool is dried in the sun and wind. Following tradition, all Khan's 50 weavers are women who work from home. Many also work their own land through the seasons. Pregnant women aren't allowed to weave. It is believed to bring bad luck. Men are banned from even sitting at the loom. Every design comes in flat weave or pile, with over 14,000 knots creating a raised surface. Price, $25 a square foot. Excess wool is singed off at the last moment. With intricate geometric designs, the carpets can take 4 months to make their color stay true for a century or more.
There are no synthetics. We only use natural plant dyes.
A prospective buyer visits. A top interior designer with clients among Russia's new rich.
The whole pattern is a dragon, and in the middle you can see the symbols of the energy of life.
The designer orders 12 carpets. Khan's team only produces 100 a year, mainly for individuals. Mass production would destroy the qualities that make them so special.
I think if we start to produce 2 or 3 or 500 carpets a year, I think this is not going to produce unique and artistic carpets. Every carpet is our baby, our child.
In Khan's mother tongue, the words for warp and weft also mean marriage party and feast. And now, production must stop because it's June, the wedding season. After generations of poverty and oppression, Dagestan is looking to the future once more. Weaving like dance is once again part of the fabric of life. And the man who's made it possible is the Sufi with a vision, local hero, Magomedkhan. Russia has many heroes, many ordinary soldiers, ordinary citizens. The city of Volgograd, previously Stalingrad, is famous for its heroism at the height of the Second World War. Stalingrad fought the Nazis and won for the motherland in one of the bloodiest battles of all time. At least 10 million civilians were killed in the war, a seventh of the Soviet population. At least 8 million soldiers gave their lives. Stalingrad is a war memorial to fallen heroes, but also a reminder of what lives on, making Russians proud to be Russian. Wherever they are from in this vast nation, love of the motherland runs deep, a force for unity. And so does courage. Courage to defend what's yours and reach out for a better future. Nine time zones from Moscow, almost twice the distance from Los Angeles to New York, lies the most active volcanic region on Earth, Kamchatka. A 750-mile peninsula arcing into the North Pacific, a primal landscape created by volcanoes. Kamchatka is as big as California, yet only 400,000 people live here. Around them, some 300 volcanic sites. Sasha Ovsyannikov, veteran volcanologist, has been braving Kamchatka's volcanoes for 35 years. Among the most active in southern Kamchatka is the fearsome Mutnovsky. It was formed 45,000 years ago, when 4 volcanoes collapsed into one vast cone almost a mile across. Born and bred on the peninsula, Sasha's job takes him into the jaws of his homeland's volcanoes, time and again. At any moment, Mutnovsky could blow, releasing clouds of volcanic ash and toxic gas. But Sasha feels no fear.
You cannot help but fall in love with volcanoes because they are like living organisms. They live their own lives and each erupts in its own way. Just as people are all different, volcanoes are all different.
His mission today, to see if Mutnovsky is about to erupt. This superheated gas has risen from miles below the Earth's surface. Produced by molten lava, it's the best indicator there is of what's happening deep within Mutnovsky. Sasha needs to check just how hot it is and bottle some gas for analysis. Mutnovsky is no place to stay longer than you have to.
A lot has been going on here, and it all happens very quickly. There's a good deal changing here in the crater.
Sasha's base is the peninsula's capital and his hometown, Petropavlovsk. Far closer to Alaska than to St. Petersburg, in the Cold War this was a forbidden zone on Russia's front line. It's overshadowed by Avacha, the volcano 20 miles away. Much of the city was built with concrete, made from volcanic ash from Avacha's eruption in 1945. Now that the Cold War is over, Sasha and his colleagues have joined hands with scientists in America and Japan to spearhead the world's understanding of volcanoes. At the Institute of Volcanology, they run checks on all the samples he brings back, monitor the 29 active volcanoes that stud the peninsula, and try to predict the next big one. Tomorrow, Sasha must get samples from Avacha, the volcano that threatens his own city.
Petropavlovsk is in direct danger from Avacha. If this volcano erupts abruptly, powerfully, explosively, given the right wind conditions, up to 20 inches of ash could fall on the city within a few hours.
The ash would cripple Petropavlovsk, ground its air traffic, pollute its water, and immobilize its shipping. Sasha heads for Avacha, taking a younger colleague to learn from the expert. In the first years after communism, funds for this work ran low and scientists worked without pay. Many quit. Sasha chose to stay on, to protect the people of Kamchatka. Avacha last erupted in 2001. It split in half the 21 million ton block of cooled lava in the crater. Sooner or later, the next explosion will shatter this massive lava plug and blast it into the sky. But Avacha, quiet today, remains inscrutable.
In general, it is very, very difficult to predict the eruptions of this volcano. We're still looking for the telltale signs that predict Avacha's eruptions.
As well as protecting Kamchatka, Sasha's work helps save lives outside Russia. Ash clouds from volcanoes pose a lethal threat to planes. Fragments of crystal and rock can penetrate their engines, disabling them in mid-flight. Rising 45,000 feet or more, the ash can travel thousands of miles. Many flight paths cross the region, ferrying over 10,000 passengers a day across the North Pacific. To prevent disaster, Sasha's team has a hotline to the airlines to warn them to cancel all affected flights after a major eruption. Seismographs indicate Karimsky, 80 miles to the north, is dangerously active. Sasha travels across some of the most breathtaking landscapes in the world. Despite the recent seismic readings, Karimsky looks calm. They spend the night a few miles away. The next day, Sasha visits thermal springs nearby to check for warning signs. The springs are part of the Karimsky volcanic system. An unusually high temperature could indicate an imminent eruption. This morning, the temperatures are normal. Then, without warning, Karimsky erupts. Tons of volcanic ash are thrust miles into the sky.
We have just witnessed a fairly powerful explosion from the Karimsky volcano. Huge volcanic projectiles have fallen onto the mountainside and are rolling down it. This is called a clean explosion, no lava, just rock and ash. Such big ones are very unusual.
The ash is falling so thickly, the pilot dare not take off.
The particles get in the gas line, and the engines fail. So it's very dangerous for aircraft. You can see how much ash there is on the tank after literally 10 minutes. And all this ash can stop an engine if it gets in it. I've never seen anything like it. It was a very powerful eruption.
Despite the danger from flying rocks, Sasha climbs the lower slopes of Kurymsky to collect samples. To him, every eruption is a scientific opportunity.
I'm not afraid because for all my 35 years in the business, I've dealt only with eruptions. I've only ever studied eruptions.
They collect fresh air for later analysis and continue searching for signs of a surge in activity.
We have selected a new sample, an absolutely fresh projectile. It's still warm. This andesite is typical for Mount Kurymsky, but unusual for Kamchatka as a whole. It's very dark. Normally, andesite is a lighter gray.
One week after the eruption, Sasha and his pilot judge it's safe enough to fly over the crater itself. Kurymsky's eruptions continue for weeks. But thanks to the courage and expertise of Sasha and his colleagues, international airlines are now warned immediately of any major eruption on Kamchatka. The man who loves volcanoes is a true hero of the new Russia. The generation born as communism died is producing its own heroes. At Kazan Circus School, it's gala night, make or break time for young Alena Averina's career.
Before the performance, I'm always nervous. Everybody is so excited and nervous.
Many graduates from the school have become professionals, some of them stars, after impressing Russia's leading circus directors on gala night. Among the guests, the deputy director of the famous Nikolin Circus in Moscow, Alexander Ogurtsov.
The main thing is to get started, to get out into the auditorium and see the spectators. Then it gets easier and you can enjoy performing.
The next 10 minutes will shape Alena's future. Starting with the bambuk, 50 feet up. So far, so good. She's come through, performing to perfection. But now, the final daunting challenge, the ring. Seven years' dedication has paid off. The acrobat who wasn't a natural has performed just like one.
When the circus is full of spectators, you enjoy being looked at and getting applause. It makes you want to do even better and make the audience happy. Their smiles are the best.
Later, Alexander Ugurtsov gives his verdict.
Alena performed brilliantly, just like a professional. You wouldn't think she was still a student. We are ready to take her on in Moscow. In all our artists, we look for a high degree of professionalism, good presentation, and courage.
Alena gets her diploma and is thrilled by the offer of a dream job in Moscow. But within days, she makes a surprising decision: to stay in Kazan and give something back to her people.
I want to teach young children here everything I've learned myself. And if it's possible, we want to create the youth circus of Tatarstan.
Her new dream, a touring youth circus representing her own republic. She will still travel and perform, but as a member of the Tartar circus troupe run by its youth. And Alena has a message for us.
To get results, you have to have a dream. You have to fall in love with the work that you do. And if you don't love what you do, then you won't make it.
For Alena, the homeland comes first. A very Russian choice, and a very bold one too. Like so many of the choices people are making in the new Russia. Russia is a nation of many nations. A home to many homelands. A mother to many different traditions and peoples. Bound to each other by history and the strength of their courage. Some seize the chance of a new life in the new Russia. Some long to go back to the ways of their ancestors. Some give all they can to bring hope, or to rescue lost arts from decades of oblivion. Others risk their lives to protect us from the forces of nature. Extraordinary people making brave choices in this fast-changing country. They carry their land's past with them as they step into the future. All of them Russians, all with a new sense of purpose. And proud their nation's time has finally come.